everyone, and welcome to Been on Our Mind. I'm so excited today, for we have our very first guest. I'd like to introduce you all to Julie Katrinette. She is a musician, a songstress, a mother, and a teacher, and overall, a lovely human being, whom I'm so excited to have here with us today. Hi, Julie. How are you today?
Hi, Kristen. Thank you so much for the lovely intro. I'm great. I'm so happy to be your very first guest.
Yay! It's so
Yay!
exciting to have you here.
So I'm curious. I know that you have some pretty incredible things going on right now. Could you tell us what has been on your mind lately?
Well, what is on my mind? So many things. June is a pretty busy month for me. I have my album release on my mind. So I'm releasing a new album shortly on July 1st. I'm also a mother and a teacher. So June is super busy, report card time and assessments and all of that. Trying to do all of that and keep the children entertained virtually is a lot to have on my mind. And just the regular mom stuff, there's always a bunch of stuff going on in there, in that old noggin of mine.
You do seem to have a lot on your plate right now. You mentioned your album. So what can you tell us about your new album? Let's not complicate things with our minds.
Yeah, well, it's a collection of 10 songs that are very dear to my heart. Some of these songs I wrote as far as I'd say 13 years ago. And then the most recent one I just finished last summer, right before recording. So there's 8 of them that are in English, 2 are in French. French is my mother tongue. That's, how I work and how I generally communicate with my son and my family. So it's just a very special album to me in a different genre that I'm used to as well. So yeah, I play in another band, which is more like a 3-piece garage rock band. And this is more of a solo thing where I write all of the songs, but I have an all-star band accompanying me for this project. And hopefully I'll be able to play some shows with them, like as a band as well. Not to say that this will always be the way it is, like in my future albums, but super happy with the way it turned out for this first album. So pretty excited.
That is really exciting. Could you tell us a little bit more about your bandmates that are featured on your album with you?
Yeah, for sure. So first off, I have John Danielou, all of these people are local musicians. So John Danielou has so much experience in many, many bands. He played in Murder Murder, currently plays in Super Toke, used to play in PGW, Pistol George Warren. He does his own stuff, his solo stuff. Anyway, so John produced the album. So he played a huge role in the way the album turned out, like the full band sound. He helped me out a lot with that, let's say, and he played many, many instruments on the album. Then I have my brother, Mitch Hool, who was the sound engineer. So we recorded the album in his basement studio last summer. He also plays drums and sings on one tune, keyboards, and was just very supportive throughout the whole project, let's say. Then we have Jeff McCausland, who is a local municipal councillor, I guess, but he's also a great musician and he plays violin/fiddle on a few tunes. And I have Barry Miles, the banjo king, as I just decided to call him that. I hope he doesn't mind. I've done a few interviews and I've just been calling him the banjo king. He rocks the banjo, plays on a few songs. And then I have 2 extreme powerhouses for vocals on 2 tracks. Patricia Cano, who is very well known for her own music, as well as Darlene. So they're both good friends of mine, and it was just a treat to get to sing with them and like just basically have them even breathe on my album. It's like, yeah, it just sounds nice. Anything they do sounds so pretty. So that's it. That's the whole band. So I'm pretty happy with that.
That's really exciting. I love that your brother came into the mix of things and helped you out. And not only that, but also played on your album and sang with you a little bit too. And you also have some really great musicians backing you up as well. And Murder Murder with Jeff McCausland and Barry Miles. That's an amazing band that others that are listening to the podcast right now should probably check out if they want a little bit of a tapping, dancing their feet kind of situation.
Totally. And John Danielou as well.
Yes, yes.
So there are like three of them. So all I had to do was add, I guess, Steph Duchesne. And I could have had, or no, I think I'm missing a few. Oh, I'm missing a few
That's
others
okay.
for sure.
That's
a giant, that's like a huge cast in that band. But anyway, yeah, they're a great band. And yeah, it was super fun to do.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see them joining you on your journey. And I'm curious about your album. Is there any specific song that stands out to you the most as like your most favorite piece on it? That might be a big question, but
yeah. My God, I think my favorites sort of like vary depending on what kind of mood I'm in. I have a little special something. I have the list in front of me here, so I'm kind of like, because I think, I'm changing my mind here. Tonight. I just really love Tonight. I mean, I love all of them. I gotta say, I don't know if that sounds weird, but they're like my babies. Tonight is a song I started many, many years ago. Maybe I should say like some of these songs were written like 13 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, like, within a 13-year space. Some of them are like old memories or whatever, but that one I started a long time ago and then I only finished it like last summer right before recording it. So I just personally like the way it's a little bit more like old country, and I like what I'm saying in it, and I just love singing it, like singing those words. They're all just special songs to me, and it's hard. It's hard to pick between your babies.
I definitely understand. I thought I'd just put you on the spot a little bit.
Mm-hmm. No, that's okay.
I'm really excited, looking forward to hearing your album too. It'll be so soon that it's going to be completely released for the world to hear it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have other questions here too. So you did mention Tonight. Could you tell me the genre again?
Like, it's sort of like old country. I mean, okay, the true country people will be like, no, that's not true country, whatever. But to me, it's like, it's a little bit of old country, and the rest of the album goes a little bit everywhere. Like there's some, I'd say like country folk. There's a couple bluegrass songs. That's where the fiddle comes in. And then there's some really very quiet, like Nous ne vieillirons pas ensemble. It's just, I might make a mistake here, but I'm pretty sure it's just like acoustic guitar, upright bass, and drums. Okay, something like that. Anyway, just very minimal. So yeah, somewhere in there, like folk, country, rock-ish, / bluegrass. Yeah.
Cool. So that gives us a little bit of a taste as to what we can expect from your album.
Yeah.
I'm curious as well. So how old were you when you first started playing music?
I got my first guitar when I was about, I'm going to say like 18. It was the end of high school. I went to Collège Notre Dame here in town, and my parents bought me my first acoustic guitar. And it's just funny, my memories of those times, like me and my girlfriends, we all kind of had acoustic guitars all at the same time for the first time. So we would hang out in my basement and play like the weirdest songs, like David Bowie songs, things that you probably shouldn't start with. But I feel like the internet was kind of new then. Like I'm older than you, Kristen. So I feel like it was limited, the kind of like, you know how nowadays you can go online and find like the chords to any song. Well, it was kind of limited then. So anyway, but we tried our best. And I remember my brother Mitch being there, and he was like 4 years younger than me, and he would just show us and probably get discouraged with us, but he would like show us how to play the more complicated chords. So that's how I started. And my first gig was with my good friend Leah Roy. She asked me to play. She had already a project going called Ma Tante Florence, which was a francophone band featuring Ed Landry and a few other people. Ed Landry also just put out an album. He's local. Anyways, just a little FYI there. So yeah, Leah asked me to play with her for the Bell Park Gazebo series, which was like every Sunday. I think before COVID anyway, they still had this. Every Sunday, a band would play at the Bell Park Gazebo. And so, yeah, I was just like so nervous. We practiced forever, and that's how it began. And then me and her did like a little duet for a few years where we would play all over the place. And we actually had our own night at the townhouse. We would play Sunday nights to only, sometimes like 2-3 people in the bar, like the drunkest, most random people. But they were kind to us, and those were some good times, good memories.
Yeah, definitely. And any practice too that I'm sure you can get in there, and being in front of it, like an audience, no matter what size, gives you like the experience for the future, which is exciting.
Yeah, totally.
I love that you've been playing for quite some time. Who has been your biggest inspiration?
Oh my God. Well, that also has changed. Back in those days, I've always been into like Neil Young and people like Lucinda Williams. I mean, I'm just talking about the music that like inspired me and like, that I love. At that point, I was really into like Ani DeFranco and stuff like that, like things that were more acoustic-y. I gotta say, I'm a huge fan of Patti Smith and Nico Case, her voice and her lyrics, and like Annie Lennox. My mom would always play a lot of Annie Lennox and Eurythmics. Like my parents are huge music lovers as well, and my dad's a musician. My mom recently took up the little whatchamacallit, the ukulele. And anyways, so they always had the new music in the house kind of thing. Like what my dad would always buy records. So of course I grew up with the classics, like lots of Neil Young and the Beatles and Tom Petty and everything. So just music of all kinds. I find there's like a time for me to enjoy them. Depends on my mood. I'll reach for like a certain genre. I have such a hard time with that word, genre.
Yeah.
Genre. I'll reach for a certain genre depending on what I want. If I want to like party, if I want to do yoga, it's all very different, but I really appreciate it all.
So you have quite an eclectic taste of music, you would say, probably.
I guess so. Yes, that's probably that would have been more eloquent.
No, it's great. It's great. It's nice to have all of these name drops for people, and for myself as well. There's a few in there that I was just like, oh, I don't know who that is. So I'll have to go and check out, right?
For sure, yeah.
And inspiration is a huge thing that propels us on our quest for creativity as well. So you got to name
yes.
them.
Oh, and I should also name, I can't believe I forgot, Julie Doiron. It's funny that we share the same first name, Julie Doiron. Anyways, she's pretty well known, and very much well known. But anyways, huge inspiration. When I would listen to her in high school, her first album, if you haven't heard it, I think it's called So Lonely, or no, Loneliest in the Morning. Oh my God, you have to listen to that. I mean, it was perfect for my like teenage depression, people go through. But I think she really influenced me because she writes really about like everyday things in the most simplest ways. She has like a simple style, but it made me see that maybe I could do it too, kind of thing. So it's not hugely complex music. Like she's not like ripping solos all the time and stuff. So I thought like, yeah, I'm a fan of hers and everything she does. So just wanted to add that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that the simplicity is like a big part of your music as well. Which brings me to the next question, which I know that you mentioned a lot of acoustics. So I'm curious as to what your favorite instrument is.
I guess the only one I play really is the guitar. So I'd have to say that's what I like to pluck around on. I have
Mhm.
played bass in a band, but I wouldn't say I'm a bass player. I don't know, maybe that's weird, but I can't just play along with someone on the bass. Really, so the guitar would be my favorite. I like singing with it. That would be it.
Cool. I like
Yeah,
that. The guitar is a
yeah,
great place to be, and it's a
yeah,
great one that you can easily just jam with anybody, so long as you
exactly.
know it. But you do.
Yeah. And I'm not
Um,
like a very, I don't know, sometimes I've been insecure, I guess, about my my guitar playing because I learned a certain amount of chords, and
mm,
I mean, I can't say I've gotten that much better. Like I've gotten more confident and stuff. I'm not the kind of artist, I guess, who like endlessly practices. and, and I'm not super into like fine tuning my guitar skills, which maybe I should, but I also have like a day job and stuff like that. So I totally
exactly.
I look up to those people, but I've just come to an agreement with myself. What I do is good enough. When it comes to recording or whatever, you could always add people who add a little special finesse. I just like accompanying myself and singing. Like that's what I love about it. Yeah, I just was gonna say you have to like stop caring, like stop worrying about that stuff at a certain point, and you know,
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that ties into, I'm just going to kind of swing back a little bit to like the mental health aspect and like things being on our mind. You mentioned like depression when you were younger. I don't want to open that up, but at the same time, like those insecurities as we do move forward and step into ourselves within our realm of creativity, no matter what that is, it's so important to let those go. And just as you mentioned, what you're doing is good enough. And
exactly.
you're a busy person. You're a teacher as well and a mother, and making this
Yeah.
album and birthing it into the world, like that is a lot. And I also know that you enjoy gardening and you have your own home, and there's a lot of work going in there, and I know that there's other creative aspects that you like to dabble into as well. Yeah.
Yes. I do like, I kind of like, and I haven't always been this way, but like I've sort of figured things out for myself along the
Mhm.
way, like the way I figured a few things out on what kind of make me happy and what I kind of need. And like I like to live in a way that's always creative, even in my home life kind of thing. Like there's always ways and to just I don't know, like gardening is creative. Like the way you build your life is very creative, and yeah, for me, songwriting is part of that, is part of like my, what I do for my mental health. Like, a lot of my lyrics come from like my journaling and stuff like that. So it's not like I'm dedicating 100% to one thing, because I am realistic. Like I got to pay the bills. I love teaching. I love my job. I love being a mom. So I can't, I just have to be like, okay, this is good enough. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this album, whatever. And so
Yeah.
it's a slow process, but I'm happy with the way things are coming out now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most definitely. It's all about that time management, right?
exactly.
I love what you mentioned about like how everything is creative basically. And I approach life the same way. And that's kind of what birthed the inspiration for this podcast as well. And because I want people to have a space to share and about their creative outlets and what's on their mind and what's going on and all that kind of stuff. And how do you get creative? And creativity is found
Yeah.
everywhere. You mentioned a little bit about your writing, which ties into the next question that I actually had. And you also mentioned one of your songs, Tonight, was actually a 13-year process from start to finish, which I think is just so beautiful because I personally, myself, I have art pieces that I've been working on for years. And there are moments when I look at the art piece and I like kind of get a little let down and I'm like, no, like I haven't finished it yet. But at the same time, it's like, no, that doesn't matter. It's going to get finished when it's meant to get finished. But my question is like, is there anywhere in particular that inspires you to write the most?
Like a physical place, you
Yeah,
mean?
or it can be like a sensation, an emotion.
Okay, okay. I think I've
Yeah.
got it. Yes, there's a time I like the morning, like with coffee. It sounds rare because yes, I am so busy, but there are days when I feel like, oh, I have nothing much to do. So for me, it's not much to do, but maybe it seems like a lot. But anyway, so it's that feeling of like a brand new day, and you have coffee, like endless coffee. And so I recently moved my bedroom upstairs in my house. I have like an older home, and it's just like a lovely space. It's like an older, kind of like an old attic that's been turned into, so the roof is all shorter. I don't know how do you describe.
Like
There's a name.
tilted.
Yes, there is a name for that, but I don't know those names. Anyway, and my dad did it all. Like, my God, he's done so much work here. Anyways, it's such a beautiful space, and it really inspires me. It's like, it's truly a room of her own, that book or whatever. So I have plants up there. It's like I've held on to vintage things. So anyways, it's really cute with like objects and little furniture that I've kept throughout these years. That's really special to me. So I definitely love writing and singing up there. I've also written a few songs. My parents have a camp in West Arm, and there's like we call it Le Petit Camp. So like the little camp, that's where we grew up. Me and my brothers and my parents stayed in that little camp. When I get to go there, sometimes I sleep in that little camp by myself or with my son. And it's just the sweetest place. I find it very inspiring. And everywhere I look, there's a little memory. The dishes we used to use. And you know how, I don't know if you're like this, but I remember which plate everyone used to use and stuff, because there's a different design on every one. Anyways, it takes me down memory lane, which I love. And I have written a few there. I think I wrote Small Town Blues there, which is like track 3 on the album. But yeah, just camping too. Sometimes like when I write, it starts as just a little melody or whatever. So definitely like parts of songs are often written, outside or like in those key areas.
Yeah. I love that. I love that your home and your family and nature seem to be common threads that support you within your music and creativity, which is just beautiful.
Yes, very much. That's where I feel most comfortable. And that's where I like to, I like to have people in, like, I feel most myself here in my home. So yeah, it's nice to like bring people over and connect with them in that way, I guess. Definitely. I don't know.
I have another question. So
keep them coming. Amazing. This is fun. I'm just sipping tea and it's lovely. Yeah.
So in terms of your album, what do you hope that people will take away from your music?
Well, I hope that they take away maybe a feeling of like hope, and that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Like, it sounds cheesy or whatever, but a lot of the themes within the music, I find the songs, they're all different, but the meaning behind them often, I find, are the trials and tribulations of like trying to love someone and trying to let yourself be loved by someone. And it's way harder than it seems. It's just kind of all about that, the ups and downs. There's so much good stuff. There's hard stuff. But I think even if the song sounds sad and there's sad parts to it, it's never like, there's always hope and light, and it's about self-acceptance and growth. So hopefully people, I think, can relate to that and just enjoy the melodies. I hope they're uplifting, and well, they're one in particular, maybe two are very, very sad, but hopefully it's not like too much. But
that's life though, right? We all have a range of emotions, and I think it'll be really relatable for probably many people, especially listening to those sad songs. And you're like taking them on a journey too, right?
I hope so. Yeah. And it's not only sadness, it's light, like it's all of it. It's just for some reason I have like this thing for sad songs. It's not like I'm running around like all sad and stuff. It's just
you're so not alone. You're
I
so
just
not
think,
alone because there's so,
okay,
if you look at
okay.
so many of the great songs that are out there, a lot of them are actually sad. And people just
Yeah,
they relate to them because life, there is sadness in life, but there's also joy, right? And there's all the other emotions in between and
exactly.
everything. And you can't have one without the other. That's just the way things go. Um,
Right.
yeah, I
Yeah.
have a question. I didn't have it written down or anything, but I'm curious about your teaching aspect. I know that this year has been a lot different for many people. And in terms of like, your album is very centered on like mental health, emotions, that kind of stuff, like, essentially. I'm curious,
Yeah.
like, how has the pandemic affected you as a teacher?
Oh goodness, as a teacher. Well, I mean, luckily I get my energy
Mhm.
from my students, right? So like right this year I have a grade 3 and 4 and they're just the greatest little bunch and I was so lucky I feel that I had at least September till December with them and then a little bit and then it started the back and forth online virtual,
Mhm.
we went virtual in January for a week, we went back. So I always get attached to my students. I really, obviously, I prefer
Mhm.
teaching in person. I like being with them. The way I teach is very like, it's me as my physical body jumping or like sometimes physically jumping around or whatever to get their attention and get them busy doing stuff. So this year it was quite different. We weren't really allowed to do a whole bunch of things that that I would usually do, like the interactive group kind of work and stuff. Um, Singing had to be
Mhm.
limited, which was very, very sad. And then virtually, well, whew, that's just another story. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
doing my best. I love seeing them. The huge positive is like I get to see
Yeah.
their faces because all year they were wearing masks. So that's like the big thing that I get to see them. And I mean, they're just the sweetest. The first thing I turn on my microphone and all I hear is
Mhm.
"Hello, Madame Julie." I know, but like they want to be the first one to say hello, and like how can I complain about that? Like how can Yes, virtually teaching is. Ugh, I don't like it. Like I'll just say that it's. I how much can I do when
Mhm.
it's just my face on a screen and so doing our
Yeah.
best, but like, yeah, just for me, it's the
Mhm.
relationships with the kids that's what does it. So that hasn't changed. So I'm just kind of like, whew, I think like everyone hoping that in September, when we go back, it's for real. And it's like, hopefully it's just going to stay in person and no
Yeah.
masks, I'm hoping. And I'm switching. Actually, I will be in
Oh
great
my
kindergarten
goodness.
in September. Crazy,
That's going to
but
be exciting.
awesome.
I love that. That warmed my heart so much when you said that as soon as you log on and they're all just like, "Hello, Madame Julie," like just eagerly waiting to wish you well on
Yes,
your day, which is just so beautiful. And it's kind of
so
like, it
much.
made me wonder too, like,
Ah,
how are the students handling this whole online? And you have obviously a very close perspective to that. But by that comment, it seems like they're doing pretty okay. But if you want to elaborate on that, you can.
yeah, I mean, in general, like everyone is
Mhm.
different, right? Some of them do very well, like they're very independent and they are eager to work and they understand quickly or whatever. Others, no, I could see it's tiring.
Mhm.
Being in front of a screen is
Yeah.
hard on everyone. And honestly, it is a little sad to see their energy
Yeah.
goes down way more quickly. Whereas usually I could keep them pretty stimulated all day long. Like I see them like, like they're
Yeah.
missing their friends. They're missing just real
Yeah.
regular life. So it's definitely having an effect on their mental health. I see it in my son as well. He used to love online school. He's very,
Mhm.
very independent, has his whole setup. He's in grade 6, so he's got it going on
Mhm.
way more than me. I have one little screen. He's got like two
Oh,
or
wow.
three. So, anyway, in his little office. But I mean, what do you say? Like the novelty has passed, I guess. Like he's missing going to school as well. So yeah,
it is hard, and
it's hard.
it's challenging, right? So it's like, how can you really support them in this capacity? Like
Yeah,
I think we're all kind of like at a loss at this point.
exactly.
We're just like, okay, doing our best, you know? And yeah.
Right. Nobody knows. Like we're all in the same, we're all in the same boat. I mean, I feel very
Mhm.
privileged. I don't want to say like the pandemic, at least I still
Mhm.
have a job and at least, like everyone's healthy for me and it's okay. I know some people have had it
Mhm.
much, much harder, but yeah, like I think it's important to just
Yeah.
listen to the kids, recognize whatever they're feeling is legit because they're feeling it and they're kids. Like this is not normal. Like they should be allowed to just go to the park and do whatever. And,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
I'm
yeah.
curious, have you been turning more towards your music during this time, during the pandemic?
Yeah, well, not the reason, but I mean the moment, I guess, that I decided, okay, I'm just going to record these 10 songs was pretty
Mhm.
much last March is when I messaged John Danielou. Just thought he would be a good candidate, like to help me with
Mhm.
some ideas. Like I brought the songs to him. I just kind of said like, look, I have these songs. Can you tell me if they're good enough or whatever? Because the people closest to me had heard them at campfires or whatever. And they're like, they like them, but you never really know. And maybe it's just me. I need like extra confirmation. Like I'm trying to work on that. Eventually, because of the pandemic, and I couldn't play with my other band,
Mhm.
the Apettes, Mel and Andre, we couldn't hang out anymore. So I was just kind of like, okay, well, this is a perfect time to work on my stuff. If I'm ever going to do it, it's now. Because I also wanted to end this
Mhm.
chapter in my life with these songs. There's a lot of joy, but there's a lot of heaviness. And I just wanted to make almost like a gift to myself. I know it sounds weird, a gift to myself in this album. And the old me would have been like, oh, that's so conceited of you or stupid or something, like, why do you deserve what? Like, anyway, but because
Mhm.
these songs mean so much to me and I just wanted to feel for me to feel like a legit singer songwriter, I had to do this. So I just kind of slowly asked people and it just got done. Like last summer is when we recorded, had a super little small team and been, last summer we recorded. In the meantime, I've also been like playing around on Bandcamp,
Mhm.
not Bandcamp, Garage Band, which is just like an app on my phone. So I've been making sort of like
Oh,
electronic
cool.
tunes, which is new for me. So just being funny with that and having fun, just having days. I remember like early pandemic last winter, just spending the whole day working on a song. Like, like almost like in a manic way. Like I'm not even eating. I'm just drinking coffee and I'm going to finish this song. And then it ends up really weird and making a video for it or whatever. So I really got to spend a lot of time like
Mhm.
for me, that's why I feel like very lucky. For me, the pandemic was actually good for me because I think I am probably what they call an
Mhm.
extroverted introvert. Like, so I'm an introvert. I need a bit of social, but I get burnt out really easily by it. So I need my alone time and that's what like fuels me. And I really like got to like spending time with myself actually this year. So
I
it was
love
kind of a
that. I
gift.
love that so much. Everything that you just said, but especially like really taking that reflective time, appreciating your space and who you are, and tuning into your creativity and allowing yourself to flourish during a very challenging year, and honoring the fact that you do have this beautiful musical gift, and allowing yourself to watch it and build it, like allow it to be birthed into the world through this creative means of like actually making the album. And you have to, or we all have to, celebrate ourselves and give us those gifts, whether it's an album or like a nice meal or relax, like, a cup of coffee.
Yes, absolutely. Totally, totally. Exactly. I feel like I very much feel that way. And for so many years, like I'm in my 40s now, like I feel like I'm a late bloomer, but it's taking me a really long time. And I've had a lot of self-doubt and like, mental health issues and what one step forward, two steps back kind of thing and self-sabotage. But I also, as you work on yourself, you kind of get a little momentum and you start to believe in yourself. And also, I feel like it sort of becomes self-indulgent a little bit if I keep saying like, oh, I'm not good enough. Like, how many people do I actually need externally to tell me that I'm good enough? Like it has to come from within, I think. So finally, that's how I just kind of said, okay, enough is enough. You're getting annoying. I'm annoying myself. I'm just gonna do it, and
I've definitely
whatever
been there in the self-annoyance. So you're not you're not by yourself in that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like there are moments when in my past, and it's like, oh goodness gracious, why are you? No, come on, Kristen, get it together. Which like it's our little kick in our butts to move on that healing path, which we all have those whatever wounds from whenever relationships, breakups, childhood, and you're putting that into your music, which is absolutely incredible and such a beautiful gift to yourself and also I think to the world, especially at this time. And I'm really excited to listen to it.
Yay.
So
you can come get it anytime you
the
want.
unfortunate thing is that I hear that you only have vinyls and I don't own a record player.
Oh no,
I know, so I'm gonna have to buy it online and that'll be okay. I'll still have my copy, but I should probably invest in a record player at some point in the future because there's that quality.
You do you.
But the quality of the sound is just so good, right? I also love that you are getting them on vinyls as well because it's like bringing back the old school.
Yeah. Yes. It's like a treat for me to. It's a whole sort of like a ritual for me to listen to records, and I really wanted to see this like on a record, and also I love the giant format, like it's like a giant canvas that you can work with. Yeah, it's lovely, and the album has the thing is. The digital does not give you the lyrics.
Maybe I will have to get a vinyl copy then so I can follow along.
I could just print out my lyrics for you. Just send you a word. I'll send you a word file.
Goodness, I feel honored. So we're actually coming up closer to the end of our little interview podcast episode here. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing space with us all. And I'm really looking forward to hearing your new album in full. I do have one more question, though, and it's in order to leave on a more of a reflective note. So I'm wondering, what does joy mean to you?
Joy, to me, means peace within, freedom, giddiness. I'm sorry, I'm just throwing words at you. Giddiness, swimming, putting jogging pants right after swimming, and then having a fire.
I like your kind of joy.
You know what I mean?
You know what you mean.
That's some kinds of joy.
I think your answer is great.
Joy.
I think your answer is great. You don't have to elaborate more. You're doing awesome.
Yeah. Okay. If I go further, I think I'm going to mess it up.
You're not going to mess it up. You're not going to mess it up.
Let's just end with that.
Oh, goodness gracious. This has been so beautiful. My heart feels really full right now, and I hope that yours does too. Yay.
Yes,
Thank you all. You're so welcome. Thank you so much for being the very first guest of Been on Our Mind podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and sharing space and listening. If you have enjoyed today's show, please click the follow button to be kept up to date for the future episodes when they're released. If you love our content and want to support us further, please head over to our Patreon and become a monthly member. This helps us continue to create content for you to listen to. And if you have any questions or comments, please contact us at beenonourmindpodcast@gmail.com. We'll talk to you soon.